Good morning. It's 8 o'clock here local time in Warsaw. I'm Diana Skaya. U.S. President Donald Trump is eager to bring an end to the war in Ukraine before April 20, aiming to get it resolved ahead of Orthodox Easter and within the first 100 days of his second term in office. Now, during a press brief conference in West Palm Beach on Sunday, Trump said his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin could take place in the near future.
No, with no time set, but it could be very soon.
Like this month?
Well, it'll be soon. We'll see what happens. But they're meeting right now, and that's more. I mean, this should have been done 4 years ago, 3 years ago, before it started. But it should have been done immediately after it started, as opposed to now, 3 years later.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has stated that he is ready to deploy UK troops to Ukraine if necessary. Now, Starmer announced that, quote, any role in helping to guarantee Ukraine's security is helping to guarantee the security of our continent. Now, according to Starmer, British troops would be assigned a key role in ensuring security in Ukraine as part of a peace deal. The British Prime Minister emphasized that achieving a lasting peace is crucial to preventing further aggression from Vladimir Putin. His remarks followed comments by the former head of the British Army, who told the BBC that the UK military was not equipped to lead any future peacekeeping missions in Ukraine. British forces could potentially be deployed alongside troops from other European nations along the border between Russian and Ukrainian-controlled territory. In sharp contrast to U.S. Envoy for Ukraine Keith Kellogg, Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said that Europe will play a key role in future peace negotiations to end Russia's war in Ukraine. Now, speaking in Jerusalem on Sunday, Rubio explained that Europe's sanctions against Russia necessitate its involvement at the negotiating table. Now, in a televised interview, Rubio distanced himself from Kellogg's remarks, stating that although peace talks between Russia and Ukraine have yet to begin, they are inevitable. He also added that, quote, the Europeans will have to be involved because they have sanctions on Putin and Russia as well, and they've contributed to this effort. Now, his remarks followed those made by Kellogg at the Munich Security Conference, where the U.S. envoy stressed that Washington's position on peace negotiations excluded a role for Europe in the process.
You have our incredible Secretary of State.
French President Emmanuel Macron will host several EU leaders and the British Prime Minister for an emergency summit on Ukraine on Monday. Now, the meeting comes after American officials suggested Europe would have no role in any talks on ending the Russian-waged war on Ukraine. Our correspondent Aaron Damon brings you the latest news ahead of this emergency meeting.
We have just touched down here in Paris for this emergency summit, as you say, convened by French President Emmanuel Macron. We're told that Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk will be here, so too leaders from the likes of Germany, Italy, Spain and the UK. Well, this will be a big deal because, remember, President Macron, he wanted to play peacemaker in Ukraine. He got Volodymyr Zelensky and Donald Trump in the same room right here in Paris in December. But forget that. America has thrown the rule book out. America has basically booked a direct line to Vladimir Putin and is now talking about opening talks with Russian officials in Saudi Arabia. This meeting will be critical as Europe looks to claw back to some of that space, some of that land, if you like, of that political landscape. And on top of that, they need some fresh ideas. Now we're in Paris, and that is where things will be taking place tomorrow. But earlier today, I was in Munich as we wrapped up the 61st Munich Security Conference. Of course, this is where it all began. Here is that report. 72 hours of shuttle diplomacy all wrapped up in Munich. World leaders have been rubbing shoulders in the tight corridors of the Hotel Bayerischer Hof. US Vice President J.D. Vance with his blistering attack on European democracies. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warning delegates that if Brussels does not step up to the plate, Moscow will. I spoke exclusively to former Slovak Defence Minister Martin Sklenar, and I asked him, does America actually care about European security?
I think it does. He's actually speaking a lot about it, so that means he cares. The last time he was president, obviously it made an impact on European security, on European defense, special defense spending. So I think from that point of view, he really cares that he makes an impact in Europe and its security and defense, and wants to do as much as possible, obviously. Last year, or last time around, in his previous presidential term, it was a discussion about defense spending over 2%. Now we will have a different discussion. I mean, the numbers will change significantly. We've heard 5% from him. We will see where it goes. But certainly there's a strong opinion in Washington, also by Donald Trump, I would say, about how the European security and defense should look like. So yes, I'm sure he cares about the security.
I also sat down with the Foreign Minister of the Czech Republic, Jan Lipavsky. Here's what he told me.
It's our task to engage the USA, to be in touch with them, with the presidential administration, and to understand what will happen. But the European solution is that we will be able to come up with our own proposals and back those proposals and be relevant in those proposals. And when I speak about European solution, I also speak about inclusive solution for UK, but also for Ukraine. Definitely, Europe won't be left out if we are able to come up with a strong European proposals.
Since Donald Trump made that shock phone call to Russian President Vladimir Putin, European governments have been at pains to assert their role in any peace negotiations.
Now, this is not the only important meeting taking place in the EU. Tomorrow, Tuesday, U.S. Envoy for Ukraine Keith Kellogg will meet face-to-face with Polish President Andrzej Duda in Warsaw. On Sunday, the final day of the Munich Security Conference, Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, alongside Finnish President Alexander Stubb, attended an official dinner held by the Warsaw Security Forum. The Polish Foreign Ministry posted about the event on social media.
Minister Radosław Sikorski and Finnish President Alexander Stubb took part in a dinner organized by the Warsaw Security Forum on the sidelines of the 2025 Munich Security Conference.
After attending the Munich Security Conference in Germany, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky traveled to the United Arab Emirates on Sunday night with his wife Olena for official meetings. This trip is Zelensky's first to the country since the beginning of the war in Ukraine. Now, footage released by Zelensky's office shows the Ukrainian president and his wife being greeted by an Emirati official and honor guard at the airport in Abu Dhabi. Now, according to the Ukrainian president, the visit will focus on, quote, investments and economic partnership, as well as a large-scale humanitarian program. Now, he also said that Ukraine's top priority is to bring even more Ukrainians home from captivity. After the United Arab Emirates, Zelensky is expected to visit Saudi Arabia and Turkey. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that he will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Saudi Arabia. He also said that Zelensky will be involved in any peace negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Overnight, the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv was targeted by a Russian drone attack. Our correspondent Donald Arleth was woken up in the middle of the night by an air raid siren and air defense systems. Now, here are his first impressions as Shahed drones flew overhead during the night.
I just woke up to a loud explosion. I heard the air defenses working. And then, of course, I looked out the window and could hear the telltale sign of a Shahed drone flying into Kyiv. It seems like it penetrated the air defense and flew on for a while. We still don't know what happened to that, but I did hear him at least shoot down before I could start filming, shoot down at least one drone with a loud explosion, which is what brought me to my window.
On Sunday evening, candidates vying for the office of German Chancellor took part in a televised debate. Now, during the event, front-runners from the four main German parties presented their positions on various issues, including on topics like the Russian war in Ukraine. The future of European-American cooperation under the new Trump administration was also a key topic of discussion.
Germany would be much better placed to act as a neutral mediator in international conflicts. We want to make peace. We want a ceasefire in Ukraine. And thank God Donald Trump is now in charge, and he wants that too.
I can only hope that America, because they are playing high-stakes poker, so Trump has to succeed first, including economically, understands again that we are stronger when we work together. But under no circumstances should we throw ourselves into the dust in front of America. Then we will give up what makes us strong and defines us. Of course we have something to say. There will be no security guarantees that we have not developed and accepted. And that is why I believe it is now a matter of making it clear that it would not be accepted if deals were made over the heads of Ukraine in particular. And I am also reasonably confident that this will succeed. With the policy you have been responsible for over the last 3 years in defense and foreign policy, we will not get out of the role we find ourselves in. We have to get out. We have to become strong in Europe.
And more on the German elections right after this news bulletin. Now, with 1 week to go until Germany's general election, tens of thousands of protesters have marched through Berlin in opposition to the growing support for the far-right Alternative for Germany. Now, known for its anti-migration stance and Russia-friendly views, the AfD is expected to come in second in the elections. Now, it's estimated that around 30,000 to 40,000 people took part in Sunday's rally, with many carrying signs denouncing the AfD. Berlin, known for its liberal politics, has traditionally supported left-leaning parties. Demonstrators in the city were not alone, as Munich saw nearly 250,000 protesters rally against the AfD last week. Now, the resurgence of the AfD, which has received support from some officials in the U.S. administration, most notably tech billionaire Elon Musk, has sparked similar protests in recent weeks. Polish presidential candidate and current Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski will travel to Finland to meet with President Alexander Stubb on Tuesday morning. After Finland, Trzaskowski will visit Brussels for talks on security and the future of war-torn Ukraine. Now, earlier on Sunday, Trzaskowski met with the EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Kaja Kallas, at the Munich Security Conference. He also had talks with Svitlana Tikhanovskaya, the Belarusian opposition leader in exile.
Had good discussions with the European Union's top diplomat Kaja Kallas and President-elect Svitlana Tikhanovskaya about security in Europe, about the future of transatlantic relations, about the situation in the region.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk is meeting with Microsoft's Vice Chair and President Brad Smith. Now, the meeting follows the Polish Prime Minister's conference held at the Warsaw Stock Exchange early in February, during which he announced that 2025 will be a breakthrough year for Poland, with over 150 billion euros of investment projects planned across the country. Also last week, Prime Minister Tusk met with Google and Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai. During this meeting, the two leaders discussed Google investments in Poland, including AI development. Later on Monday, Tusk will head to Paris to attend an emergency meeting of European leaders convened after the Munich Security Conference. And that completes this edition of World News here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.